Hi everyone, my name is Charlie and today I'm going to be talking about my top 5 favourite villains. I haven't done a top 5 Wednesday video since last December and it's kind of something that I wanted to get back into. Back then I believe it was run by Ginger Reads Laney and now it is run by Thoughts on Tomes, and any more information that I'm leaving out I will link down below, and also a link to the Goodreads group. Everybody loves a good villain. If a villain is done well, they can be one of those compelling characters that readers really get behind, and although they don't necessarily want them to win, they do love to hate villains. These 5 are villains that I believe have been done well, or they have a twist on the classic villain that I have enjoyed. The first villain the first villain that I have chosen is Miss Havisham from Great Expectations by Charles Dickens. Miss Havisham is a terribly misunderstood character, and I first heard about her when we were reading the poem Havisham for our GCSEs. She's a character she's villainous, and she has this very pantomime villain thing about her when I've seen her portrayed on screen, but her story is tragic, and what makes her into this antagonist and this villain. She's one of those villains that in the end you feel sorry for her tragic background, but you also feel angry because she hasn't done anything to stop herself wallowing in this depression and this pity, to the point that she has become this person who seeks to control people's lives. And she's this tragic figure that I just wish had had a better innings. The next villain I chose is Zosie from The Lollipop Shoes by Joanne Harris. This is a book I mention a lot because it is one of my favourite books. It's the sequel to Chocolat, and in this book you have a character who you know from the get-go is not the best person, but her villainy is just pure villainy. She is so conniving and so manipulative. The protagonist in this book is Vianne Rocher again. She is the polar opposite to Vianne. They both have this mysticism and this kind of everyday magic about them, but Zosie uses it for more nefarious means, and her plot and what she intends to do is just very modern and very human. She's the kind of person that she knows how to make people feel good. Basically, she's manipulative, she's a bitch, and because of that, I really like her and think that she's a great villain. Next, I'm going for another book by Charles Dickens, and that is A Christmas Carol, and the villain I've chosen is Ebenezer Scrooge. And basically, we all know the story of A Christmas Carol. We know what Ebenezer Scrooge is like, but basically he's one of those characters who he's the perfect anti-hero, villain, all that sort of thing. He is a villain with a past, and obviously he's just used as a device here, but it's brilliant. He's brilliant, and he's one of my favourite villains, and someone who I shouldn't really admire but do. Next, I chose Cersei from the A Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. Basically, she's my favourite character in this entire series. I do not care that she is a villain. The big thing that happens at the end of this book and the way she behaves, I just think she's astounding. I still haven't got over how she was treated in A Dance with Dragons, and I doubt that I ever will. To me, she is hard done by the restrictions that are imposed upon her because she's a woman, and there are a lot of restrictions to the women within this series, but I really like how Cersei handles herself and how she behaves, and I can't help but see her as this lioness protecting her cubs. And I know people probably disagree with me and people don't like Cersei, but to me she's amazing, she's brilliant, and I don't watch the TV show, I just read the books, and I think she's great. And finally we have the Satrap, however you pronounce it, from the Liveship Traders trilogy by Robin Hobb. I'm showing the Mad Ship because I believe this is the first book where he's properly featured. He's mentioned a lot in the first book, but I don't think he appears until this book. I think that he is a great character because he is simply a man who has been thrust into this great role, and he's a ruler basically, but he has absolutely no idea what he's doing. And I think with the current political climate that it was very fitting for me to be reading this book at the time in which I read it. But he's just bumbling along and everybody's able to manipulate him. he has no idea what he's doing. He is lazy, he's idle, he basically wants everything doing for him. He wants everybody to be subservient to him, but he has no charisma, he has no personality. He's the worst person for the role, but you can understand how he came to be this person and behave in the way he did. That's why so many of these villains, and so many of the villains that we enjoy, we like, because they do have a history and they have reasons for being villains. And I think that if you can show your reader why your villain is a villain, then you're doing something perfectly right. And there we have my top 5 villains. I hope you enjoyed this video. Why don't you tell me who your favourite villains are in the comments below? And until next time, that is all.